working? All right, thank you, my dear. All right, so we are here in the home of the Liskas. And we were going to talk a little bit about, well, we've already talked about adoption a little bit, but what's different about your adoption is that you guys, when you started this process, you had some different choices and decisions than maybe when people had 20 years ago. So when you guys first started the process, how did it come about when you were trying to decide, you know, boy, girl, ethnicity? I mean, do you have all those choices, or?
Well, I think we went about adoption in two different ways for each of our kids. We have two kids.
Mm-hmm. Here's one.
And
Hi.
this is Samantha. Hi. So with our first adoption, it was through foster care.
Yeah.
So it was really just, they asked a age range that we were willing to consider. They asked if we were open to different ethnicities, and we said yes. I mean, we said we want a child. And we just, that's how we got our oldest, and we got her from the hospital when she was just a couple days old, and she's been with us ever since. And now she's 10. With Samantha, she was a private adoption, and because Michaela was biracial, we actually marked on our paper on the many adoption forms that we wanted to adopt a baby who was mixed, who was some other ethnicity than Caucasian, because we wanted Michaela to have somebody else that looked like her, that had the same experience as her, that was that she wasn't going to be the only not white person in our family.
Right.
So kind of two different ways that got to the same place. Two different paths.
So, and as you went through that process, I mean, did you do anything in terms of, all right, let me kind of think of my experiences or talk to other people? Because, you know, preparing for a child, you know, foster adoption, biological, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you had to like prepare a little differently, just knowing you were raising a child of different ethnicity?
Not really. I don't even know that we talked much about it, did we?
I can't think of anything.
I remember when she came home from the hospital, when the caseworker brought her in, I know, like, there were lots of things I had to learn. We had to learn because we just didn't know. I was really happy she was bald, thank goodness, because hair has been.
I remember we were talking about that.
Hair has been the biggest learning curve for me.
The hair and some of the skin care.
Yeah. Like Samantha was really dry and flaky all the time, and we tried everything. But I think we just did a lot of research. I mean, we were online a lot the first couple of years trying to find stuff. But there are lots of great web videos out there and blogs and Facebook sites about being a white parent with a mixed or black kid, and how to do their hair, and what products work for, and what type of hair they have, and all that.
Which
stuff.
honestly, I probably need that website too, because I don't know how to do my own hair.
Well, I haven't mastered it yet.
Right.
I can do
Sometimes we have
ponytails
to
and a
go to
couple
the
braids.
professionals.
Yeah.
If she wants cornrows, we have to go somewhere.
Gotcha.
And I can't French braid. I can't
Yeah.
do it.
You want to say hi? So, and which is interesting, because I think that's awesome that there's that support, that network, and
It's really growing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's whole books about it.
because there's just so many interracial families all together. Now, as the girls got older and going to school, and I mean, did you ever feel like you had to like prepare them or talk to teachers or other families? Just of the, you know, a different family that you have.
It was more. There were a couple of times where we've been out in public, like when the kids were little. I never really even thought about it. Honestly, I just
because they're yours.
Because they're just my
Yeah,
babies.
they're
just my
yours.
babies. But like at the grocery store, I asked if I was their babysitter or if I was daycare. One time we were at McDonald's, and Samantha was really tiny baby, and Michaela was like 3, and we had a little boy who was like 4 or 5 get in Samantha's face and say, I don't like the way you look. I don't like your black face. And it was the first time that I had ever really experienced that or witnessed that. And so I think we talk, I mean, we're pretty open about they're adopted and why they're adopted, and we love them. And so we have talked about it a little bit. And I actually, when you asked us to do the interview, I talked to them in the car. It's always in the car.
Right.
And I asked Michaela if she's ever run into anything at school and anybody ever said anything to her. And there was the time in kindergarten when I went to lunch for the first time. I don't know if you remember, but there was a little girl in her class that just like was sitting right next to us, and she goes, "That's your mom?" And Michaela's like, "Yeah, that's my mom." And she goes, "But you guys don't match." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. We don't."
want you to open her.
Yeah, and she was very matter of fact about it and very well. And then she asked why we're different colors, and Michaela actually took care of it. She said, "Well, that's just the way we were made."
And that's just the way they were born.
Yeah, it's just how we were born. And this little girl was 5, and she totally accepted it. And she was like, "Oh, will you open my juice box?" And it was it. That was over.
Right.
And I think ever since then, I know Michaela said sometimes kids in her class want to feel her hair because it's different, because it's poofy, because it's curly.
My hair's curly.
It is. But she said so far we haven't really run into somebody in her face really blatantly saying something about us or our family or
I mean,
relieved.
but you know, just them realizing, you know, there's diversity. We're all different, and I think it's okay to explore and ask questions. And I love the way she handles it.
Well, and that's what, and we talked about that when she brought it up. I said, well, I'm glad she asked, because then we can teach her and we can tell her, you know, why we're different or what we look like. And Michaela's done a lot of education on adoption just within her class.
Really?
She wrote an essay about it, and the prompt was like how you got your name, and she talked about being adopted and her birth mother and all kinds of stuff. So it's not a secret. It's I mean, it's something that they really celebrate, and I think that's kind of cool.
Well, and I think, you know, you had said even in their class, there's just so much more diversity or interracial, biracial families, you know, adoption, biological, what have you. So the world is definitely changing.
Well, and there are a lot more families that, not even biracial or interracial, but families that just look different because it's a single mom, or because it's 2 moms, or because it's a dad and a partner. And so I think that the kids are becoming a lot more accepting than their parents. Honestly,
Thank goodness.
thank the Lord. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
There is hope, I think.
So
for
hopefully
the
we're
future.
actually showing kids that this is a family.
Well, and I think too, the comfortability, the security and confidence that you have probably shows towards the kids and towards others people. Because I think
probably a little bit.
well, but I think, you know, sometimes when you do see people, and if they're acting a little nervous or feel like they should be ashamed or afraid, I mean, sometimes that is presented to other people. But I love the way you guys are like, hey, these are my kids. I love them.
This is who we are.
This is who we are.
I'm 7.
You're 7.
She's 7. She's proud of it. But I mean, I don't actually remember a time for us like sitting down and saying we want, you know, we want a baby of this color. We just wanted a baby. You know, we just wanted a family, and we tried really hard for one, and this is the family we got, and we like it. We'll keep it.
But Mom, you don't like Wesley that much.
That's right. I don't really care for the dog.
Oh, the dog.
I might let you take him home.
Well, I might have room for him. So.
Yeah, he might not.
Yeah, so I love this. Thank you for sharing. Because I think, you know, like you said, it's so important that families are families. You know, we love each other, and no matter how the family was made, that's what's most important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when Liz and Sandy talked about, you know, we love each other, we love our kids, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. We, it's really interesting because I never like just some of the comments that we get, because we have gotten comments in public, but it's hasn't happened as much as the kids got older, and I think people are more scared to talk in front of them. I guess maybe when they were little, they were more willing to like pretend they couldn't hear, but they could. They were still right there.
Right.
But I've gotten asked like, where'd you get that chocolate baby? And just like random, just old lady at the grocery store. Are those really your kids? That kind of stuff.
That rude.
That's very
That
rude.
is rude.
Very
Thank
rude.
you. That is.
But Michaela said her biggest thing that makes her upset was at school. Sometimes people will say, "Well, Samantha's not really your sister," because they're not biological.
Right.
So Michaela gave him a lesson on biology.
Good for her.
Said that, well, we're not biological sisters, and I think maybe that confused some 10-year-olds. But we're really sisters because we have the same mom and dad. And then she said, so I told him we didn't come out of the same person,
Right. Right.
but we still have the same parents, so we're sisters. So, and then we just had a really good conversation again in the car about how you love like sisters, you fight like sisters, you drive each other crazy like sisters. You are 100% sisters.
I'm the crazy one.
Yes.
And we have all the very expensive paperwork that's
Yes.
Right.
You have all that paperwork.
Yeah, you know what, and that, I mean, she's very eloquent with that. I mean, I appreciate that. That's a gift, you know? So maybe as you get older, you can educate and teach others, especially some of the adults that are sometimes rude.
Yeah.
I think we have snack time here with the popcorn.
Before bed snacks, I guess.
All right.
Old.
Anything else you want to say, my dear?
Do you want to say anything?
No?
Oh,
Do you still have apple in your mouth?
All right, well, thank you. I really appreciate it, because you guys, you do, you have such a beautiful family. I brag on you guys all the time. I do. I brag on you guys all the time.
Wow.
So I appreciate you sharing your story and your beautiful girls.
Well, we enjoy them.
Mackie's
But-
10.
She just turned 10. They just had birthdays, so they're very excited about it being 7 and 10. But I think we would do it all over again, for sure.
definitely.
Yeah. And I think we're done. But
I was going to ask you, so what does that mean?
I think we're done unless somebody
Right.
comes with a free baby.
Right,
Unless somebody says, this baby just signed on the dotted line and we don't have to pay lawyers fees.
All right, hey, well, if there's any free babies out there,
We would be happy.
let us know. We'll get you in contact with them.
Any color. We're really not that picky.
I love it. That's awesome.
I want
Oh,
a little brother.
We want a brother.
I don't. I do.
I'm not sure if we're really wanting another baby, but
All right, camera
Might be
woman, you
close.
want to turn off the camera?
I want to. I get to
All right,
this
who's
time.
going to do it?
don't break it.
that.
She's